well, my husband is from a family of 7 children who are from all over, out of state, and my mother-in-law's 75th birthday, everybody had to stay in Glen Cove. So I'm hoping on her 85th birthday that they'll be able to stay in Bayville. I did talk to the board.
Ed Orsky. Ed Orsky.
Put them in the backyard, in the summer.
Yeah.
Good evening, Ed Orsky, 7 Bayville Park Boulevard. Mr. Mayor and trustees, I'd just like to thank you and commend you on your service to the Village of Bayville. Last summer, there was a public hearing that was held here on numerous occasions. A representative from H2M stated that due to the current zoning at that time, no apartments could be built on the Steve's Fair 1 property. At that time, I was set at ease, along with a lot of other residents on Bayville Park Boulevard, because of those apartments not being permitted. Sure. Although something needs to be done with the property, the current proposal certainly doesn't fit with the landscape of Bayville. The former restaurant was built at street level and not at the current proposed elevation, which I think was mentioned at 14 feet. The code changed for no less than 4 units and no more than 30, along with the occupancy not greater than 30 days. Seems like a high-density property directly opposite of you, Mayor Rupp, Trustee Sharon, Trustee Taylor, and Trustee Russo when you were running for your positions. I have documentation to that you handed out and you signed. So this seems like a high-density property. It seems as though the current administration is mainly concerned with business owners and not the residents, mainly Soundside Inn and the Crescent Club. Well, we have the Harrison House in Glen Cove that can house these people that come in for weddings. Tides Motel is only a few hundred yards away. That's Blight, although it's in Locust Valley, it's a Section 8. What's going to happen with this property when it's not a viable piece of property for Bayville? With that said, who can go in and check to see whether or not people stay for more than 30 days? I don't think the building inspector has that jurisdiction. I think the only person that could go in there is the fire marshal. And unless you supply them with a subpoena, I don't know if they're going to be so forthright. And what happens when it doesn't thrive? Are we going to have another code change for apartments? Thank you.
Ron Roll. Like Ron Roll? Yes. Oh, there you go.
Good evening, Ron Ruel, 96 Mountain Avenue. I think everybody should try to learn from past mistakes. 33 years ago, this same type of building was instituted in Hampton Bays. Approximately 7 years later, when they couldn't bring any more income, they went to social housing. What guarantee do us as residents have that that's not going to happen to this property with the housing? What if they can't bring in the amount of revenue they need to bring in? Where does it stand at that point? What guarantee do we have as a resident that it's not going to become social housing, just like the Tides? There was housing at the Tides for many people. Look what happened there. Why don't we just renovate that hotel and turn that into the space, rather than creating a new space? There are other alternatives to look at for this. Thank you.
Peter Bianco.
Thank you, Mayor Rep and trustees up top. I am for this project. Reasons being, and everybody's been asking the same question. I think what you see here, guys, is there's not so much clarity as far as Section 8 housing or what's going on, but I truly believe that if this goes up, the restaurant will be thriving there. There's definitely better views than having a piece of dirt there, guys. Everybody here has to understand that. Is that correct? Okay, I'm talking this way, sorry. First time for me, I apologize. So, being said, if everybody has their answers and questions done the right way, I think this housing project would be wonderful.
Housing project?
I'm sorry, the inn would be wonderful. I apologize. Okay, thank you. I am for this, and I have some questions later on. Thank you.
Rita DeRose? Rita DeRose?
It's 3 times.
Vin Cicero?
Hi, Vince Cicero, 14 Merritt Lane, Bayville. You know, every time we have this thing about something they're going to do, we never see a picture of what they're going to do. So it leaves everybody up to conjecture, I think, and the board should pay attention to this, is that you propose something, and then you show what that proposal is going to be. Right now, I would think a lot of people in their brain create this type of image or that type of image, and it's either for or against based on whatever picture they put in their head. That's the first part. So I think the
I
board,
don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't know if you were aware that there was four presentations made to the public where there was actually graphic renderings of the conceptual design. So I just want to let you know.
no, I was away for 2 months, Paul, so I probably missed it.
When was
Okay.
that?
A lot of people have missed it, but just to let you know.
There was,
Still in the Q2.
okay, fine, let me get to the second part. I am
I never
either
saw a rendering.
amiss that this
They
guy
should
owed
have
a
it
lot of
here.
tax money on that property. Would that be paid up, or am I incorrect? The second thing is, would he be given some tax abatement,
Of course it is.
and if so, how much?
Very good question.
There's actually, there's no project, there's no application for any project handed in.
What I'm saying is, has this guy paid his back taxes?
He just said there were
If
renderings.
he goes to build, will there be a tax abatement?
There is no guy, there is no project that's been proposed yet. This is just a zoning change.
This is a zoning change.
There is not a project
there
that's
were
been
renderings.
submitted formally to the board yet.
Okay.
What were the renderings of?
He was interested in it, he presented conceptual plans, it's not the
It's not there.
former owner.
Okay. Thank you.
Wayne Gaddy? Wayne Gaddy?
I don't think I need a microphone. My name is Wayne Gaddy. I live at 34 Perry Avenue in Bayville.
Do you mind just coming out, please?
I am opposed to this project. My concern simply is that if a 30-unit building is allowed with a restaurant and everything else, what is going to happen when it doesn't make money? They're gonna come to the village board in the middle of the night, they're gonna turn around, and all of a sudden we'll have apartments or condos or Section 8 housing in this damn place. And if people are offended by the dirt pile, which I am, condemn the property, put a park in there, and the village will be. And the New York State finance law allows for such a purchase. You get that guy, get him in there, rip out your foundation, or we're gonna do it, back charge him, take the property and put a park in. Same with the property across the street. And this is the second affront to the residents of this village that you have committed.
Judith Stippen?
Good evening. As you know, I am opposed to this project, but I would like to know if it's possible to get emailed the presentation,
Presentation will be put on the village website tomorrow morning.
the full presentation. in full color?
Technicolor.
Thank you.
Miriam Sharon?
She wants the.
That could be William, William Sharon. Yes, sir. There you go.
It's my handwriting. I still have it.
In red. Sorry about that.
Good evening, let's say Bill Sharon. How's
Just
that?
want to speak into the mic and just.
Yes, ma'am, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So I am in support of the proposals. I completely support them. I believe it's responsible. I believe it's responsible. I'm in support of the proposals. I believe it's responsible. I would like to first start by saying you have to really commend this board for pushing forward with what they did say when they were running. They did say they were going to push forward and take these properties that were not being developed and look for responsible ways to develop them. So I think this proposed zoning change goes a long way to enabling people to do that. So I am absolutely in support of it. I think it's responsible. I think the village will use it, not just a small minority of people, but I think that people like my family, that family coming in from out of town, big, large families, that a lot of us have, can use that overflow space. And it'll be used all around the year, not just simply in the summer when we have weddings. So I'm 100% in support of it. And I thank everybody. Great presentation, by the way. Good job, nice and objective. I like the way you compared things objectively. It was nicely done. Thank you.
I am in support of the Seaside Inn. In fact, my nephew is getting married at the Soundview on Memorial Day weekend this year, and the whole group has to travel to Glen Cove for the after party. So it'd be nice if they had a place to go. Excuse me? So anyway, I am in support.
My mother stayed at the East Norwich.
Good evening, my name is Mark Friedman. I live at 17 Hickory Road, which is down the road from Bayville Park Boulevard. I'm the former vice chairman of the Bayville Zoning Board. My professional life has not allowed me to been fully involved with what's been going on, but I have read up a bit. I have just a few questions. Tonight is for the definition of Seaside Inn. Why does this board not also address the definition of a hotel or motel or similar? Because the definition of seaside in the dictionary is land adjacent to water. If I were a businessman, even though the gentleman says that it's unlikely I would build on parcel inland, the future potential problem I may have is that if you have said seaside, but I am inland on a parcel on the other side of Bayville Avenue, I may have a legal issue with that. So again, my question to you is why aren't these other definitions explained and addressed in the zoning regulation? My second point I'd like to make is in looking at this, I agree with the people that we have blight, we don't want to see mounds of dirt, we want to do something. But I think the board is putting the cart before the horse in that if there's no proposal for a project in which a variance might be needed, why would you change the zoning laws? The zoning laws are made specifically that people adhere to, not to change the other way around, to change to what a prospective businessman might want to do.
Right.
So with that, I would ask the board to reconsider, and in terms of a solution, it would be nice to know and understand what the impact is to these different parcels and what can and cannot be done. And then look back at what works and what doesn't work in the village of Bayville. And we go back to, I believe it was in the 1980s, the Hofstra study shows what businesses worked and did not work. So I would ask the board to reconsider not making these changes, but to move forward with businessmen and public hearings to say what solutions can we come up with that would guarantee success of a business coming into Bayville. Thank you.
Mr. Baker? Bates, Frank Bates.
Frank Bates, 5 Cliff Drive. Got a couple of things. First of all, I must have got lost somewhere along the line, because when I went to the hearing last spring, and I mentioned the Steve's Pier property, north side, the Crescent Club, Walls Wharf, and Mayo's, the deputy mayor stood up and said to me, "You're out of order, Mr. Bates, because those properties are not commercial. They're not commercially zoned." I said, "I know they weren't commercially zoned. They were residentially zoned, but they were used for commercial use." Now, we get a presentation tonight here, and it's showing that the Steve's Pier property is commercially zoned. So when did it get changed from residential to commercial?
Mr. Bates, I just want to those two public hearings.
I didn't say you, I said the deputy mayor. Okay? Mr. Russo grabbed the mic from in front of you, matter of fact, to address me, and told me I was out of order. Well, I don't think I was out of order. And then in the June meeting, hearing, H2M gave a beautiful color presentation up on the board. And again, that woman, that engineer from H2M, said that the north side of Bayville Avenue was zoned residential, special use, was not commercial, so it was not going to be impacted by these code changes. And I again stated, but it could be in the future in court, and I was assured that couldn't happen. Well, now we're getting something that's showing that it is commercial. So I want to know when it was changed to commercial. Do I get an answer? He said it was. His color chart shows it is. So his chart is wrong then.
Chart for his chart is correct, but if you look at the breakdown, I believe the chart is correct. The way what we stated was.
Here in the back.
is that the parking lot-
Mr. Bates, can I have a microphone?
First of all, as it relates to the Crescent Club and the other properties that you talked about,
Right now, we're talking about
I'm going to answer the question first. As it relates to the Crescent Club and the other properties, they are also still in the residential district. This property is also in the commercial district for the north side of the property, which is the Steve's Pier building. As far as the parking lot, portions of that parking lot are in the residential district. That's what we said. That's what we clarified. We have not changed. There's been no changes in the description of those properties as far as whether they're residential or whether they're commercial. That has not changed since the June or the April, or for that matter, years. Those positions have not changed. But the property that we're talking about are portions of the parking lot, and portions of that parking lot are in the residential district.
Well, I don't know. I think a lot of people here would disagree. They were told that it was residential, special use. Okay? Okay. That's 3 minutes. He had 2 minutes of it, so I get more time.
Mr. Bates, go for another, go ahead, another minute, go ahead.
Okay? The second thing is, nothing's been proposed to this property so far now, being told. So all those plans we saw, speculation things, are just speculation.
They were conceptual drawings, they were renderings.
Okay, by a development company. Am I right?
Yeah, by a guy who's planning on hopefully.
Okay, my question is, has he ever built an inn before?
He's built numerous.
Condominiums, he said that during that
Yeah, he's built
presentation.
numerous condominiums. I don't know whether he's built inns before.
Well,
He's built-
I asked that question, he said he's
He wants
built
to-
condominiums.
He's building condominiums across the street in, he's building condominiums currently across the street from the Mohica Castle, is that how you pronounce it? In Woodbury.
Okay, the other thing I'd just like to add, I think if this goes through and it gets passed, I think there should be a resolution passed by this board that no member of this board, either by marriage, by blood, should be involved in any part of the building aspect, the supplies, the subcontracting, or anything else of these buildings. Thank you very much.
Carla Panetta?
Carla Panetta, 10 Hilltop Drive.
Do you mind Pick it up over at Canton.
I do really think that Seaside Inn at this potential location is going to make it. I did some numbers myself, and looking at, you're comparing it, if ever in the future you're comparing it to apartments, renting rooms and as an inn or hotel is always making more money than apartments. My sister-in-law is having her wedding at Danforth's in Port Jefferson because she wanted on the water with hotel rooms. And then a girlfriend of mine in Bayville who wouldn't come tonight because she's embarrassed that she's having her daughter's wedding at Danforth's because they wanted hotel rooms with seaside wedding location. Anybody in this town who's moved here from out of town needs hotel rooms for guests. Anybody whose kids went off to college and never came home again needs hotel rooms for guests. My Norwegian friend who stays 2 weeks every year, can't wait for this to happen. My cousin in Hilton Head who sleeps in the kids' bedrooms for almost a month in the summer, can't wait for it to happen. So I think it's a win-win. I think Bayville is behind the times that we don't have a boutique hotel. When I've gone on vacations in different countries, it's very popular. It's called a boutique hotel. There's never more than like 20, 25, 30 rooms. And it's high-end, and it's in demand, and it's what people want. And I think that Bayville will support existing businesses that we've already permitted, like our 2 catering halls. We should stay local. We should use our own catering halls, and we should include another business that will help our business district grow. Thank you.
Jim Alessi? Jim Alessi? You want to speak on both or just one? You didn't check the box.
They told me it was both almost the same.
All right, we'll give you number 1 and number 2.
Hello, I'm Jim Alessi. I live over on Bayville Avenue, 207, over by Valley Road there on the corner of the old house. I renovate houses and I build buildings for one builder on Long Island, one building owner. And I wanted to hate this project in the worst way. But the more I thought about it, speak up. The more I thought about it, I actually think that it would probably be a fantastic addition to the town. A real jewel coming in from Glen Cove, or from Locust Valley. I think that it's probably exactly what the town needs. A hotel, it's going to have a dock in the back apparently, after speaking to the engineer at the Waterside Inn.
What?
Well, when we went to the Soundview Inn, the architect that was representing the people that were submitting some sketches was questioned about the dock and said that there is a dock that was grandfathered into the property. So I believe there's going to be a dock, there's going to be a hotel, there's going to be a restaurant. My problem is the same as Ronald Reagan's. You know, it's like trust but verify. How do you assuage our concerns? And maybe the attorney here can, and I forget your name, I apologize, but maybe our attorney can explain to us if there's a stipulation or something that you can put in here into the wording or into their permits or into their application or their non-conforming use that it can never be turned into an apartment or a residential dwelling. I think if we knew that that was the case, it would be easier to support this, and this would probably be something fantastic for the town. And I'm a greedy bastard. I just want my property value to stay up. I don't want it to go down because we have 30 Section 8 houses turned into 80 Section 8 houses with people that we really don't desire to have in the town. And the one building owner that I work for, you know, always gets me nervous when architects come in and put fancy renderings up on the board, and they great architecture and wonderful plantings out inside, and they show you they're going to have an 8-foot white pine row in front. When they go to plant it, it's like little cans about this big. So I think, Mayor, if we could do 2 things. Somehow or another, verify that these things aren't going to all have kitchens in it, because why would we have a bed and breakfast that needed kitchens inside? They got a restaurant downstairs. Concerning. So I think if we had some assurance that this can't be turned into a hotel or a permanent residence or a long-term residence, I think that would go a long way. And then I think there's things we can do with whoever winds up submitting their permit to maybe make some adjustments to it so it is a jewel when people come into town, and it's not an eyesore. It's something that we all say, wow, my cousin's coming into town, or my brother or sister, somebody's coming in, what a great place for them to stay, and you tie it into the community. Because I would say, if we have a really key business, right at the entrance of town, I think it'll help everybody in the town, not just the business owners, but the residents as well, who could get some use out of this and have some fun and have something to kind of be proud of as you come into the town. So I think it's a wonderful idea, as long as we can control it and we have some assurances that this doesn't turn into a nightmare, that we're all sorry after you guys are long gone from office that somebody approved it one day.
Mr. Alessi? Your concerns were actually addressed last year. This board passed a local law that limits apartments to 4 units per building in the business district only. So if this building somehow did not succeed, they would have to find another use for it, either a spa like which originally planned. I'm actually quite surprised that people have short memory and they forget that the last administration approved a spa on that site that was a larger structure than is currently been discussed in the conceptual plan, even though there's no formal plan submitted. So we passed a law, you can only have 4 units in the business district. Everything has to go through another permit. There's no permit being issued here. So that absolutely has already been written into the code that it can't happen.
So, Mr. Taylor, there's absolutely no way and no condition that anyone could go for some kind of non-conforming use variance or something to turn that into any kind of a apartment dwelling.
A future board could always do something different and change all the laws. There's no control over what the future is. The current laws on the books that we passed to limit development is to limit it to 4 apartments per structure with a 50-foot setback from any residence. So that was done last year.
I just want to answer your question. If this gets approved, this is only one step. I mean, you have a say in the site plan. If there is a site plan approval, you do have a say in what you just, the concerns, what you just said.
Well, let me ask you, the architect that presented at the Soundview Inn, I asked him, I said, how did you get the septic and wastewater management approved through Nassau County? And he said, oh, we already did that, that's already submitted. Well, what did he submit under? And I don't know if everybody here realizes, that's another one of my concerns, it's like number 3, right? When you apply for wastewater management and septic systems, you tell the health department of Nassau County, who controls that and has to approve it, what you're applying for. So if you're applying for a playground, it may be 0.01 gallons per square foot that you need to accommodate. But if it's a residence or it's a hotel, that may be 1.5 gallons per square foot. Now, he told me it already got approved. What did it get approved as? What did he submit as?
What I believe he was referencing was the approval that exists for the previous construction of the property. So he was essentially saying that previously, under the previous site plan hearings that were held for the 2 options that existed for that property over time, that Nassau County approved. So if you were to go back and look at that, those approvals have very specific requirements that were listed, just like you identified. So he's going off of that assumption, saying if they said I'm going to have, and I think he kind of presented this at that hearing, if I'm going to have a 500 room catering hall, and now I'm only going to have a 125 room seating restaurant, then obviously, even though I still have to go back and get approvals directly for a particular project, which he would have to do, I have confidence that they're going to approve what's there, because in the past they said 125 was certainly less than the 500 that was approved previously, so that's good. In the other instance, as far as the rooms, when that thing was originally proposed, they proposed something to the tune of like 13 or 14 spa rooms, which did include things like